Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PitStop TV. We're back live to you on YouTube and Twitch tonight. I've got Cole Freilich and Victor Valia alongside of me, and tonight we have a bit of a change in pace. We've been bringing a lot of IndyCar stuff, a lot of Pro Mazda stuff, even a little bit of NASCAR stuff this past Sunday from Newark. A lot of single class stuff, guys. Tonight we're going to switch it up. We're going to go sports car racing. We've got the IMSA Michelin Pilot cars here for the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League at Daytona. And these two machines, while they're both great, there's clearly a favorite in the Porsche 718 Cayman, because I think the whole field minus maybe three cars tonight, Cole, is made up of our Porsches.
Yeah, the majority of the field is made up of Porsches. That's probably due to a recency bias. This is the third race of the season for these guys. I believe it's pretty much a lock-in once you select your car for the season. But it should be a fun one tonight.
Yeah, definitely going to be a fun one tonight. Got a couple TCRs. Looks like they're a little bit down the order, but it's definitely fun to have a little bit of multi-class racing here going on in the nighttime here at Daytona.
Yeah, we're calling it multi-class racing, but realistically it's going to be some 40 almost Porsches and three Audis. I still only see the three on our lineup. Those being, let's see, we'll go down the list. I've got Russ Sherman. He's on track, actually, it looks like. Russ Sherman in the number 10. You can see him there, an all-black Audi. We've also got Leonardo Alexandre. And we've also got Kerry Mitchell. So three Audis for this race. The rest are Porsches. So it's really just going to be a big Porsche field with a few moving chicanes thrown around. But something that's really interesting to me so far is these guys are definitely a wide variety of skill levels. We've got plenty of rookie licenses, D-class licenses, and that may not be entirely indicative of driver skill necessarily. I think these guys definitely race in some capacity in real life. But a lot of these guys definitely new to the sim at least. So as far as sim experience goes, we've got rookies, we've got D license, we've got C license, we've got every color of the rainbow in our licenses here, Cole, and that's definitely going to show, considering you have the NASCAR guys that you can see. Timmy Hill, Garrett Smithley, Dale Jr., they have a lot of experience on the sim. You bring in Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and well, I was going to say Denny Hamlin, but he won the Homestead race. But those guys that are really fast in the real NASCAR races definitely have not been fast in the NASCAR races.
Yeah, and that experience could play into some factors. We got a guy who's got experience and on the real-life track and on the sim, that being in David Levine, who's actually one of our partners for the broadcast.
Yeah, it's funny you bring him up. I'll actually go ahead and show the David Levine Racing logo at the bottom left of your screen now. And it's fun working with David. He's actually just getting on the racetrack in the Motul number 25. You can see him there. David Levine has tons of IMSA experience. I believe some SSC. I could be wrong on SCCA. Sorry. That is a tongue twister. Trying to say that 5 times fast, but he's got Skip Barber racing experience. He's been a driver instructor. He's now working on his own Champ Car endurance racing project with a 1992 Miata. Definitely go and follow David Levine Racing. He's even made a couple of NASCAR starts in the K&N series, which is now the ARCA Menards East series. As well as the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, now the NASCAR Gander Outdoors and RV Truck Series. That's also a mouthful, Victor. So definitely, again, want to thank David Levine Racing for his partnership here with us. But Victor, you could tell us a little bit about Whiplash Media.
Yeah, Whiplash Media, we just kind of started that up. That's the, I guess that's now our parent company to PitStop TV, and that's going to be owned by myself and, of course, my partner up here in the booth, Andrew Carinelli, the fourth. Do a lot of different things, pictures, photography in real life and on the sim. So I say we're partnering with Nathan Stewart and his iRacing Photos group over there. So I say he does a lot of great things, and I'm personally doing a lot of iRacing photos, just working with Alexander Rossi today, and he asked for permission to use my photos that I took for the iRacing IndyCar Series challenge. So a lot of big things happening for Whiplash Media right now. Do graphic design, photos, and a lot more.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun getting to work on that page and truly turn it into a business here soon. We do iRacing paints as well. We do a whole lot of stuff. So if you're looking for anything sim racing related, especially iRacing related, come to us. We'll get you hooked up. Most resources, be it paint schemes, streaming assets, camera packs. Obviously, we broadcast, so we got to have camera packs. I made these camera packs that you're going to see today. I made these earlier today. Yeah, we've just got all kinds of assets that you can use for sim racing. As we see the 7-Up car go straight through the bus stop there. But we also have another sponsor on board, and this is through the league, Lucky Dog Sim Racing. Hawk Performance, and before I even get into Hawk Performance, I want to mention the fact that Hawk Performance is putting up a reward for the overall season champion. And I don't know if you guys were briefed on this, but Hawk Performance is putting up a reward for the overall season champion here in the league, and I'm not sure if that goes for both classes or just Porsche. But you get a free set of brake pads. So, I will mention David Levine and Michael Melvin, another guy who has a lot of real life racing experience. Michael Melvin in the 36 car. Those guys were suddenly very interested when I mentioned the fact that you get that free set of brake pads because they are both working on building Champ Car Endurance Series cars. I already mentioned David's 1992 Mazda Miata. I should also mention Melvin's, I don't know what year it is, but Porsche Boxster. So he's definitely interested in this Porsche, obviously, the 718. But Hawk Performance is an industry leader in brake pads and rotors and are a proud sponsor of on-track and sim divisions of Lucky Dog Racing. So right there, Lucky Dog Racing, go ahead and mention them a little bit, talk about them. Lucky Dog Racing, Lucky Dog Sim Racing League, rather, is the esports branch of Lucky Dog Racing League that races on iconic tracks all over the USA and Canada, including Laguna Seca, Thunderhill, Charlotte Motor Speedway, and more. I think they were racing at the Ridge, or will be racing at the Ridge at some point this year, out in Portland, Oregon. Several real-life racetracks. So it seems like they're kind of in the same boat almost, kind of as a series as Champ Car Endurance and 24 Hours of Lemons, things like that. Some cheaper race cars that you can go racing affordably, pretty much, there with the Lucky Dog Racing League. So now that we've got our obligations out of the way, let's quickly wrap up qualifying. Looks like Christopher Beats in the number 22 going to take your pole position here, Cole. So as qualifying wraps up, about 2 minutes, 40 seconds left for these guys to finish off their laps. Go ahead and run us through the top 10.
All right, well, as you mentioned, Christopher Beats got the pole for the night. Kevin San Diego is going to be second, followed by another Kevin, that being Kevin Ford in the 29 car. And it's Andre Malit starting fourth. Michael Melvin is going to be fifth. Dylan Yeager is going to be sixth. Dan Garber is going to be seventh. Brandon Deich is going to be eighth. Christopher Barton's going to be ninth. And Brian Ansel will round out your top 10 there. Actually, no, we just had a car bump him out. That's Ian Anderson, who just went to P8 on the chart.
Yeah, we are right now just finishing up qualifying here, so a lot of these guys taking their final laps. Go ahead and go down to P12 right now. As it stands, Richard Basford, P12. Michael Delasala, 13th on the grid, followed by Justin Parcher. David Levine, we just talked about him. He's right now in the 15th position on track. And Jason Miles, 16th. John Toothaker in 17th. JD Van Kirk, 18th. And as we have it bumped down once again, Sam Saylor's now to 21st, as we have a lot of guys bumping up through the field. Go ahead and wrap up the top 21, I guess.
And so moving down past P20, you can see some of the drivers here. Sam Sailors gets bumped to 21st. Enrique De Sequeira, I believe. I'm sorry, Enrique, if that's wrong, in 22nd. Then you have Michael Omelko, Scott Deich, so another one of the Deiches out here. Andy Rolston, J.D. Snyder, Joseph Pennell, Dale Clough, I believe is how you would say that. As a new fast time, a new pole, that's Richard Basford. He goes to quickest on the speed chart, so he's going to take over the pole for now. Eric Hutchinson, 29th. Peter Holm, 30th. Then you have James Wolak, Aaron Sloman, Damian Doneski, Len White, Nicholas Murray, John Montgomery Jr., rounding out your top 37. The only 37 that have taken a time. Actually, no, I think it's 36. Porsches that have taken a time, and I believe we have one Audi that's taken a time. That would be Leonardo Alexandre. Unfortunately, they're not going to show on the results list here on the right side of your screen. But Leonardo, currently the only Audi to take a time. He will line up 35th overall so far, so beating out a couple of Porsches, actually, Cole.
Yeah, we have a total of, I believe they said in pre-race, 43 cars for this 30-minute event. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. We had an hour and 20 minutes of practice, followed by a 10-minute qualifying session, which is going to lead into, as I said earlier, the 30-minute race. So what are you looking for in this race, Victor?
I mean, honestly, I think it's going to be a really good field here. A really good range of talent, but a really close field at the top. Only 0.5 of a second or so separating the top 5. So it's definitely really close. It's not as close as, other leagues that we've seen with that wide range of talent. I mean, that has to do with the sim racing experience these guys have. And going back to the hot performance, it's really good to see real life sponsors stepping up. I know personally that Continental Tire, they're stepping up for the Thursday Night Blunder Series with Dinner with Racers. And there's so many other sponsors now from real life that are stepping up and putting up big prizes for iRacing now. It's really interesting to see this because we really haven't seen a lot of those sponsors get over to iRacing, and I think this is a great opportunity for them to do so with a great racing league.
Oh, absolutely, Victor. And I do want to quickly mention, we went through your running order there from qualifying, so we're not going to go through your grid, especially because it looks like we're going to have a standing start here, so we're going to stay kind of on standby here as these guys get ready to start this race from a standstill, as we are gridded up on the tri-oval here at Daytona. But I will quickly mention that you can advertise here with PitStop TV. Obviously, we have those sponsor slots that we had at the bottom left of your screen. And as the green flies, Richard Basford and Christopher Beets, they are your top 2. Slow starts out of both of them as they're already getting overtaken.
Yeah, we got 3 wide heading into the first part of the International Horseshoe. That's going to be very tight. Everybody wants to kind of get single filed. We got one car way wide.
I think that was
Kevin
Michael
Sandiego,
Melvin.
who took the lead. Kevin Sandiego, who actually took the lead off the start there, has absolutely bent it. I believe we got some more in the back. We got one car spinning on the inside wall. I believe another car went and hit it. So dramatic start to this race already.
Several cars around here as these guys try to get up to speed. And we're just going to try and show you most of the carnage here on lap 1. It's going to be hard for us to keep up with all of it with so many cars. The 17 there turned around in the International Horseshoe.
Oh my goodness.
Got one car that has gone to the infield.
Several cars around. It's hard for us to show all of it, unfortunately. Oh,
Ian Anderson is touring the paddock here at Daytona International Speedway.
There's so much going on here.
Lots of just mayhem and destruction already. Showing off that brand new damage model, it looks like. Hey, Andrew.
Yeah, these guys definitely showing off what iRacing's been working on. As we switch back up to P1, it's going to be Richard Basford. And it looks like one of our Audis is already towed. Leonardo has towed to the pit lane, unfortunately, so issues there for the 42 car. But as we go back up to our leaders, a lot of cars already damaged and kind of showing you the beginnings of what you can do to these race cars with that new damage model you speak of. And you saw in the commercials to open up the broadcast, you saw exactly how bad it can get. Wheels can go flying as we see an overtake here into Oval 3 out of the bus stop for David Levine taking P5. And I saw some other drivers that we were mentioning. We do have 4 team drivers that are affiliated with PitStop TV through Team Unreal. And those being, of course, David Levine. We've already been talking about him. But also Tyler Langenberg is following through. He's got a draft. You see him in the white Porsche there with the American flag on the roof. He's also got HMS Motorsport on the hood. And these guys down to the turn 1. Bit sketchy there for all of them. Just trying to find their braking points, warm up these tires. That's one thing the drivers were talking about before this race was even close to going live, Cole. These tires take a minute to warm up, especially on these Porsches.
Yeah, that's due to iRacing's new damage model. But we were talking about on Team Unreal. It looked like, for the most part, they got unscathed through all the madness except for Michael Melvin. I saw where he had towed. So all 3 of those cars now working inside of the top 10. We're working the second lap of this race, about 4 minutes into the race. So it's going to be interesting to see how the race plays out here since things have finally seemed to calm down.
Yeah, that's right. And go ahead and do a quick rundown of the order. After all of this chaos has happened right now, Richard Basford out front, Kim Aiken, running P2, Andre Millette running third. So the Volt car is having a really good run here. The 7 and 21 up in podium positions. Michael Melvin P4, but he's going to have to get the tow back to the pits. So he's going to move down the order. David Levine P5, and then Dylan Yeager rounds out your top 5. Levine P4, Yeager P5.
So as we watch these guys start to spread out towards the front of the field, further back a couple of battles, Andy Rolston actually has cleared himself of this battle for about P10. Enrique de Sequeira has actually also kind of cleared himself of Dale Clough, but then you have a gaggle of race cars, John Toothaker in tow. You've even got Dan Garber back here in the 8 car. I tried to make him sound like a historic racetrack, but the number 8 in tow of the 15 and 145. I also want to mention, you can see the top of your screen as these guys scroll across on your ticker, a couple of new fast laps out of Kim Aiken and such. The blue positions and names are your Porsche field. The yellow names are your Audi. I'm sure, that's pretty tough to tell between the 40 blue names and the 3 yellow names, but I just wanted to help you guys out.
Yeah, it's always a little helpful to have those up on the screen, but I believe we found the issue with Michael Melvin. I believe he's having some connection problems because he was P4 after the end of the last lap, but he is now falling down the order. So it looks like connection issues for the number 36 car, which is unfortunate. But everything's staying relatively calm and in order now throughout the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's right. I think we do have a battle for the lead brewing here between Basford and Aiken. Aiken kind of just slowly nipping away at that lead that Basford was able to get on the first lap of the event.
Yeah, on board now at the 24 machine of Kim Aiken, and we'll show off some of these onboard cameras we were talking about that you can get from Whiplash Media. Kim Aiken currently trying to draft up to that 21 car, so 21, 24 trying to do some battle. Andre Millette is about 3.5 seconds back of this 24 machine, so as they come down into the bus stop, hard on the brakes, a little bit unstable under braking, I've noticed with these new GT4 cars. They're pretty much street cars that were made race cars, so definitely a little bit unstable, even though you have that TCS and ABS, the traction control and anti-brake lock system. It can still definitely get pretty unstable here, Cole, as we might see a side-by-side run to the start-finish line. Kim Aiken trying to get that runner on the top.
Well, he is going to the outside, but turn 1 around here is pretty tricky. This entire track, even though it is the most well-lit track on the sports car schedule, or pretty much any sports car racetrack in the world, it's a very tricky track. Me and Andrew, we both ran together in the Rolex 24, and I know, Victor, you've ran them as well before. And really, the bus stop can be tricky as well as the first corner due to how the brakes work on most sports cars. I know we actually struggled a little bit with our Audi this year because of the braking issues.
Oh, almost contact,
and
sorry.
Nipping there, yeah. He's nipping away there. Tried to go for the crossover, the over-under coming out of the International Horseshoe, I do believe, here. And now it looks like Basford kind of losing Aiken here just a little bit. He's going to drive it in there deep and try to get back to the 24.
Yeah, this is a really interesting battle we have brewing between these two. Looking out the rear window of the number 24 at the, who was the pursuee, I suppose, the one getting pursued, is now the pursuer. That is going to be Richard Basford in P2. He started on pole and has since fallen back to that P2 position. And I don't know, I'm starting to think that Kim Aiken is a little bit quicker through the infield, but I think that 21 might be trimmed out a little better to be be a little bit faster in a straight line, and I think that's where he's getting a lot of his help there to stay with Kim Aiken. I think Aiken just has a little more downforce, a little more grip through the corners, and I think that's why we've seen that 24 drive up to the 21. It's going to be harder for these two to separate, though.
Yeah, and I believe the 21 actually does have the benefit of the tow. Even though these cars are a little more backed off than what we're used to seeing on the high bakes of Daytona, they still can generate a pretty decent tow. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody can really catch Kim other than Richard, but it looks like Richard may actually try a move here. He's towed up to the back of the 24, and he's looking to make a move, possibly going into turn 1.
A lot of patience here from Basford. Basford now looks to the outside, gonna try to get around the 24, but thinks better of it as they enter turn 1 here. Definitely the toe is really strong with these cars, surprisingly, for the speeds they're going. I think that's the huge thing about these cars is the toe that they get. I mean, we see it in real life. It's a draft fest around this track, and looks like these two are the class of the field as they kind of pull away just a little bit from Andre Millette in 3rd place.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, keep in mind, guys, there's Mazda Miatas that draft around, it can be something. Oh, that was a bobble out of the 24. May have been a little bit of contact there, but these two definitely going at it. The crossover there from Kem Aiken. He tries to get back to the right side of Richard Basford. He says no, moves back over there into the braking zone, and then kind of cuts off the nose of the 24. There was room. That was totally fine for the 21 of Basford to do, but that was definitely a big move there for Basford, I think, to just say, no, this is my corner. I don't want you to the inside. But as I was mentioning, Miatas can draft around, be it Summit Point or I'm trying to think of another short road course, Okayama, whatever. They can draft around anywhere they want at 100 miles an hour, 120. So as these guys go side by side to the entry to the bus stop here, it's no wonder they're drafting and definitely punching a decent sized hole in the air, using the air pressure ahead of them to draft up to one another. So they were side by side into the entry of the corner. Now they're nose to tail, and Kem Aiken's starting to fall off just a tiny bit.
Yeah, and he is starting to back off, but it looks like his car is a little bit better in the toe than Basford's, but here he comes once again. He's actually got a really big toe this time coming off of NASCAR turn 4. He's going to look to the outside heading into the tri-oval. Give that lap to, I believe it's going to be Kem Aiken at the line. It is. Kem Aiken around the outside, going to take the lead heading into turn 1.
And he's going to slam the door on Basford. Basford, it looks like he kind of had to take a little bit of an invasive action there to get a little bit of clean air on that nose and clean braking for that 21. We'll see what the 21 can do. The 21 seems to be a little bit stronger, contrary to what Andrew said earlier. I think the 21 is a little bit stronger in the infield section of this track after making that move in turn 5 just a moment ago.
Sorry, my mic, I totally turned my mic back on, and it was still off. I was talking. I was calling a great race there, but I think you're right there, Victor. It's definitely starting to change, and it could be the way these two drivers brought their tires up to temp. I do want to quickly phase back to a battle further back, though. Tyler Langenberg has overtaken teammate David Levine for P4, and they have fallen off of Andre Millette a little bit, who is kind of just in a gap of his own. So these two about 10 seconds back of your leaders, battling for P4 and 5, and I think they're just trying to settle in right now. No pit stops in this race. We're short enough, 30 minutes. They don't have to pit. If we do see them pit, something's wrong, be it damage or they just didn't put enough fuel in the car or whatever. Another battle shaping up would be Dylan Yeager and Brandon Deich. They're kind of spread out apart, but we've seen already with those two leaders that the draft can do a lot.
Yeah, and it looks like Michael De La Sala, he was a part of this group heading into the International Horseshoe, but he's backed off now. As we go back up to the front, I believe these two have swapped position. No, they have not, actually. I believe Richard Basford actually backed off of Kem Aiken because he was right on the bumper heading into the bus.
Yeah, I think he's actually just kind of biding his time right now. As we approach halfway in this race, it's about 13 minutes, one more lap. We'll be around halfway in this event. Basford just kind of biding his time in P2. Looks like these guys are really evenly matched, as they kind of do, once again, pull away from Millette in P3.
Encountering some lap traffic here. I'm not sure who that is ahead, but man, that car needs to get out of the way. That would be one, let's see.
Yeah, Joseph Pinnell.
Yeah, Joseph Pinnell, the number 9 car, finally gets out of the way a little bit. Kind of challenging your leaders through the kink there. That's very dangerous, as you see the Volt car actually kind of run the curbs there. So that was Basford rather, a little bit onto the curves. Or curves, man, I'm getting these words all kinds of mixed up. So those couple of lap cars behind your leaders, not for position. So the headlights you see right behind the 21, they are their own separate battle. So as these two leaders continue on, Basford leading Aiken. As you mentioned, Victor, nearing halfway, so we're already about halfway home, halfway to go for these two leaders.
And it's been interesting, the battle between these two all race long, because they've really put a gap on the field. And the third place car of Andre Millette, he's staying in a relatively good proximity, about a straightaway off, but they have just rocketed away from the field early on. And as we see a pass for the lead between Kim Aiken and Richard Bassford. No, actually, sorry. Bassford tried to go the outside, and Kim decided to defend on the bottom.
Yeah, Aiken defending from Bassford. Bassford challenging for the lead. I think he's really just trying to pressure Aiken into a mistake. You mentioned back in the field here in P3 is Millette. Millette really might have the best shot at this all when it's all said and done if these two leaders take each other out battling so hard. And I think Andrew, once again, has forgotten to turn his mic on here, so...
Again, I was calling some action, and it just... I literally had thought it turned back on. The light went solid red, but sorry about that. I keep doing that, man. But, no, I was saying I don't think they're gonna wreck. Looking at their iRatings is actually... We're having a couple of issues here. Seems like...
Bassford gets loose there.
Yeah, a couple of issues here on my end, actually, pressing the buttons, so I apologize for that. We totally missed that bobble out of the 21. But as things settle back down, yeah, the Volt 21 actually fell back a little bit of ways, and now gets right back to that back bumper of Kim Aiken as they encounter yet another lapped car. Going to move over to the right and give the leaders the lane, as that's the 121 machine.
And see, your job as a lap car, you don't have to move over for the leaders. They're just being respectful for right now because they know this is the battle for the win right now. So you're going to see lap cars move out of the way. It's not really, it's more of a driver's etiquette thing than the actual rules of the race. But as we see Richard Bassford, he's going to close back up to Kim Aiken with the toe. He's going to look outside. Nope, fakes inside.
Oh, contact! They might wreck! Victor, you might have been right. They tried to dump each other down the straightaway, and I think that was just those two trying to predict each other's movements. I don't even think that was an attempt at blocking. It might have been out of Aiken, but I think out of Bassford, that was just trying to make sure that he got to the inside lane without going down below the double yellow line. But it's road racing. That's totally fair. That's totally legal. You can go down there if you need to, Richard, as they made that was a good save, though, out of both of them. But they made contact, and I think the left rear of Aiken's car, yeah, definitely has a little bit of damage. Not much, but I think it's punched in just a little bit.
Yeah, that damage is, excuse me there to cut in, I think that damage just is a little bit on that 24. I don't think it's going to affect it too much, but almost shades of 1979 with in the Daytona 500 with Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison almost. As they went down there. Now, if they had grass down there, that probably would have been a different story. But thankfully, they paved that area, so both of those guys get away pretty cleanly as we see the 20 spun on the left side of the track.
Yeah, so the 20 machine, Brian Ansel, he goes for a loop, and he's actually still sitting there. The Porsche machine dropping down your rankings, 25th now, as he rejoins the racing service. But that battle for the lead rages on out of the second horseshoe, out of the west horseshoe, as they go down to turn 6 and go back onto the oval. Do want to quickly flash back to the David Levine-Tyler Langenberg battle. They have switched positions as David Levine now retakes P4 as of a couple of laps ago. So as we have eclipsed that halfway moment in this race, you see top of your screen, about 8 laps to go. So that's about what you can expect out of the field. Also, that Brian Deich, Dylan Yeager battle has swapped spots. So Deich in the 6 up to P6, Cole.
Richard Bassford, he's looking for the lead on the outside once again. He's not going to try to go below the double yellow because apparently, I believe Kim thinks that that's still out of bounds. But we're in sports cars, so sometimes it could be legal. But the battle race is on between those two currently. As we head back to the back part of the field, David Levine's lapping some cars, so that's going to get in the way of his battle with Tyler Langenberg. Oh, and Tyler Langenberg has just crashed into the 221 of Lynn White. Not sure what happened, but that car is destroyed, and that may put Tyler out of the race.
Yeah, it looks like day done for Tyler Langenberg here.
And we have another incident. Brandon Deich, he's in a wreck bus stop. More cars going.
Yeah, not sure what's going on here. It looks like chaos is ensuing. On the track, we have another guy spinning. That's the 15 of Toothacher, he's gonna get it corrected on your way, but chaos everywhere, Sandrew.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the replay there with Dice on your screen. Having a few issues again. Oh, actually, he tandem spun there at the 73. We'll try and get a read on who the 73 car is, as we're obviously still brand new. That was Scott Dice. So the two Dices spin at the same corner. I don't know if you could have written that any better, but the lead battle now is still going to be Basford and Aiken. As we'll try and get a look at that a little bit later on, maybe after the race concludes. Hopefully get a replay on your screen in post-race, but these two still going at it for the lead.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say we had a pair of dice there wrecked, but battle rages on. It looks like Kim Aiken's actually fallen off a little bit to Richard Basford as they head out of NASCAR 2. They really have clear sailing behind them because there's quite a few lap cars in between them and Andre Millette. And then David Levine's actually on the hunt trying to catch down on.
Yeah, and Basford, he took the lead coming to lap 10 here. I would assume somewhere's in the infield portion of the track. So we see Basford starting to pull away from Aiken just a little bit. Maybe that damage on that left rear is actually hurting that car a little bit more than we thought originally.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how bad that's really going to affect Aiken. Obviously, he has fallen off. That could have been any number of things. Again, you know, the speed that Basford came back with and kind of slapped back with could just be from warming up the tires a little more correctly, bringing them up to temp the right way. We don't really know. It's hard to say. Obviously, it could just be a longer run setup. Only 30
and
minutes.
Basford he got a little bit squirrely there.
They both did, actually.
Yeah,
we saw
he drove it in there
of
really deep.
We saw the 24 bobble about the same point in the corner, actually, because I was on the 24 there, and again, it can just kind of bobble center of the corner, so they both had an issue. It's not like we have fluid down on the racetrack or anything, so I think these two just starting to hang it all out there, warm the tires up, get them a little bit greasy, as I'm sure the track is warming up as well.
And Richard's actually put quite a bit of gap on Kim here, so that's pretty interesting to see. His car, I believe it's a little bit better out in clean air on the NASCAR 1 and 2 and NASCAR 3 and 4s, but it looks to be a good all-around car as opposed to Kim, who, I mean, he can hold on to the lead, but Richard just drafts right back up to him every time.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the important things we talked about earlier is the draft is so strong here. And right now, I mean, Basford's putting a gap on Aiken here. It's already 1 second, and I think around the 1 second is where you start losing that draft. It's definitely no longer as strong as it used to be when you're right up on somebody's bumper.
Yeah, no, you definitely have to be close to the driver ahead to be able to really use that toe to the fullest of its advantage. So I'm not so sure that this number 24 Porsche is going to be able to draft back up to the 21 of Basford. He's going to have to do it through raw pace, and that's going to be tough to do, of course, because the 24 may have only been there because of the draft. Obviously, he started behind Basford, stayed with him, a couple of mistakes, and clearly Kim Aiken has lost that draft pretty well. Within about a second and a half, so he might be able to get a little bit of a sniff of the end of that draft, but I don't think it's going to help him all that much. It's going to have to come from raw pace alone, Cole.
Well, I want to go up ahead and update our Audis in the field. I believe Carrie Mitchell is actually the leader of this class so good for her to see her out front. We don't know what's happened to the other two, but they have fallen off the pace, it looks like.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, we were telling you at the beginning of the race we did have one car.
Oh, actually, a spin
Audis.
out of one of the Audis.
Ooh,
Leonardo.
Yeah.
Or was almost a spin, sorry. These two are actually battling. So you have the leader that's way out there by a full lap, I think. Or at least looks like maybe a minute and a half or something like that. Anyways, by a large margin, Kerry Mitchell has this Audi battle pretty well written up. But Russ Sherman and Leonardo Alexandre, are your battle for the Audi class, the TCR class. Now, I think Leonardo definitely has some left front damage. He's kind of on the double yellow line.
That nose is bouncing.
Yeah.
That front grill is bouncing, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of damage to the front end of the 42 all of a sudden as he gets passed by, it might actually be Richard Basford.
Yeah, that was your overall leader.
So, Oh, and he's completely blown the bus stop. Is he going to... Oh, I thought he was going to take out Basford there for a second. So Leonardo...
Oh, watch out.
Oh. Kim Aiken goes on
he's
by.
second
Thankfully,
place
gets right
right
by
there.
without issue.
Well, speaking of cars making it through the bus stop, Andre Mallet and David Levine seem to have a battle shaping up here for the podium spot. David's been slowly catching Andre. Been having to work through some lap traffic. He had about 3 lap cars, but he's hounding him now.
Yeah, that's right. Last lap for David Levine was a 155.6 to Millet's 157.8. That's going to be one of the closer battles on the track. We also have De La Sala and John Montgomery Jr. For battling for 6th place on the track. That's, I believe, the closest battle in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yes, that battle for P6 going to be, the closest one, actually. There is one a little further back, actually. Andy Rolston and Kevin Ford. These two not too far apart as they come around to make another lap around this, I almost call it a super speedway. Just massively large, really stadium now. It's not even a track, it's a stadium. If you look at the grandstands through the Tri-Oval, it's like a football stadium, like a baseball stadium. It's really impressive what they've done here in Daytona. But as these two start to draw closer and closer, the Northwest driver of Kevin Ford started 4th, has dropped back to P9, but is on the bumper of the 40 of Andy Rolston. This could be a pretty good battle.
And Andy Rolston actually running a throwback livery to the old Skyline Pennzoil Zexel car. So it's nice to see a throwback livery out here. And he's going to let him by for, that's the 8th position on track. But as you mentioned, Daytona is a beautiful facility. I was fortunate enough to come here during the Daytona Rising Project in 2015. And I was just astonished at how massive this place is, because when you watch it on TV or on your phone like you are right now, you don't truly appreciate the size of a facility like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful facility, and we do want to go ahead and update you on the battle for the podium position. David Levine all over the back of Millet now. He did have a little bit of contact with one of the TCR cars. I think it was Leonardo once again. Kind of finding everything around the track right now is Leonardo. Who body slammed David Levine, and I think a little bit of damage on that number 25 Motul Porsche right now. So looks like he's kind of dropped off just a skosh off of the Andre Millet machine.
Oh, and Millet's gone around a spin there in turn 1, going to give the position to David Levine as he goes through for P3, and that could have been a whole lot worse, because David was there and almost T-boned that number 7, but thankfully Andre is going to get it back going before anybody passes him. For position anyways, we saw a lap car go by, but David Levine, as actually that lap car spins, it's the 801. That is Jason Miles, actually, your league owner. Was talking with him a lot today, so a couple of issues there for Jason Miles, but he gets back going. He is a lap down. He's currently 27th. It is actually behind your Audi leader by about 4 overall positions. So an unfortunate night shaping up for the 801 machine.
Well, going back to our lead battle, Richard Basford has put a huge gap on Kim Aiken. As we're getting into the late stages of this race, we got about 2 to 3 minutes left in the race. So it's going to be, I don't think Kim can actually get back up there. But David Levine, good to see him get that podium position, because we saw him just absolutely on the prowl here in the late stages of this.
Yeah, and going back to that spin for Millet, that could have been a whole lot worse, as you said, but a great job by everybody, the lap cars included, of avoiding Millet there. We had at least 3 or 4 cars behind him, and he was parked right in the middle of the track, basically, so
27 car.
really good job by those guys.
So as this battle shapes up a little bit further back, actually, we've got obviously the several cars that have strung themselves out around P1, 2, 3, and so on. But actually, just outside the top 10, we've got a string of cars who have all kind of gathered themselves together. Andy Rolston leading this gaggle. Then it's Jared Holland. I'm going to hope that's correct there in the number 18. Enrique de Sequeira in the number 27 is in this battle as well. So as this line moves down the, out of NASCAR 2 down to the bus stop, we've got 3 cars under a blanket and 1 a little further back. That's Justin Parcher. So down to the bus stop, kind of all over each other on the brakes. They really got a little too close for comfort, as Justin Parcher going to make up a ton of time on those three and just draw closer.
And it looks like Jared Holland actually backed off of Andy there. Now Enrique is going to go to the inside, try to get the spot. That's for the 12th position in NASCAR 3 and 4, with Justin Parcher on the prowl behind them. But this could get into a big battle here coming into the late stages of this race if they can get back to Andy.
Well, as you're saying, the late stages of the race, I think we're going to be coming to the white flag right here. Richard Basford with about 5 seconds left on the clock, so this will be the last lap coming up here for Basford. So he's going to cross the line. It'll be his final lap coming up, and that'll mean these guys are going to have one more lap to go and sort this all out.
Still trying to watch this battle back here just outside the top 10. Andy Rolston currently sitting, it looks like, in P10. Enrique in tow. And then side by side, almost out of the International Horseshoe, down to the kink, go Holland and Parcher. So as these two try to do battle behind us, another battle ahead of them, obviously. These four cars kind of just all in one little group. And again, sorry for some of the issues there. Is actually my connection cuts out there for a moment. Unfortunately, I think this large car count definitely putting a damper on things. So we'll get that worked out between this race tonight and the race next week at Lime Rock Park. Meanwhile, though, we have taken the white flag. That was a good call from you, Victor. As the time winds down, it looks like we have gone to the white flag. So 1 to go for Richard Basford, your current leader.
Yeah, and Richard Basford, he's put on a pretty dominant performance. We thought it was going to be a battle between him and Kim all race, but here in about the back half of the race, after they made the contact coming off of NASCAR 2, Richards just put a big gap on everybody as he's heading through the back end of the International Horseshoe for the last time. No cars ahead of him, it looks like, but all the action's behind him. We got Kerry Mitchell, the class leader for the Audis, right behind him. And Rafael Hafili, he is in the 24th position, cruising behind these cars, and then you see Kim Aiken behind them.
Yeah, the next car for Basford is going to be Garber, but I don't think he will catch Garber at all. I think it's going to be clear sailing for Basford here. He's probably going to go ahead and get the win. Still have that battle brewing up in the back here between a couple guys here. Ralston and De La Sala is going to go wide. That might open the door for Ralston.
A bit of contact almost here. Yeah, there's contact, and one goes around, and that's a bit of a wreck there in turn 1, the exit thereof. So as these guys take their white flag, we were on board there with Parchers. He made contact, I believe, with the 13. No, that's going to be the 18 of Holland. Kind of cut down onto Holland there. I don't know what he was expecting because that car was still there and had total rights to that corner, but a couple of cars get into it. They continue on, however. Meanwhile, your leader going to be Richard Basford. He's coming out of NASCAR 4 this time by. So as Richard Basford comes around to collect checkered flag number 3 of the season, that's your winner, the number 21 Volt Porsche. And Victor, you talked about the Volt Porsches kind of having a stranglehold on the field. Well, one of them takes the checkered flag. Kerry Mitchell going to take your flag in the Audi category. Meanwhile, David Levine comes across for a podium. So David Levine Racing, our sponsor, definitely shows up pretty well. He finishes P3. Andre Mollett, meanwhile, looks like he's going to come across in the second of our Volt Porsches. He's going to come home P4. Dylan Yeager going to complete your top 5, Cole.
And then John Montgomery's going to come home with the 6th position. Kevin Ford, he's made a nice comeback after wrecking out early. He's coming back to get a 7th place spot. Or no, actually, Christopher Beets is going to get the 7th place spot there in a heated battle here heading through the travel. Christopher Beets going to get the 7th spot. Kevin Ford's going to be 8th. Michael De La Sala with the damage on the front end. Another one of our partnered cars with the Team Unreal team. He's going to finish 9th. And Andy Ralston is slowing on the bacon.
Yeah, he's out of gas. He's out of gas.
Something's happened to Andy.
I believe he is out of gas, Andrew.
And these guys were talking about fuel limits. They were talking about 12 to 13 gallons, and it looks like the 40 of Rolston may have gone with 12 gallons, which was short. I believe he needed about 12.4 to complete this race. And he's definitely come up short. He's losing tons of spots. He's on the apron in NASCAR 4, and cars just keep on going by. There goes Tyler Langenberg. He's going by for 16th. Meanwhile, Holland, who we saw in that wreck in turn 1, he'll claim P15, P16 again. Going to go to Langenberg, that time by across the stripe. Toothache are going to come across for 17th it should be. Van Kirk, J.D. Van Kirk in the 868, going to come across, should be 18th.
P18, wow.
Yeah, Dale Clough going to take 19th, and Rolston, I think, has towed.
Yeah, and a little bit of confusion there. It's okay. Andy Houston's a pretty prominent figure in the motorsports industry, so we all get it wrong sometimes. But, yeah, just unfortunate for Andy because he had such a good race going there. A nice, solid top 10 run. Instead, credit that to Kevin Sandiego. He's going to get to 10th place tonight. And then Justin Parcher, after that spin we saw earlier, he's going to come home 12th. So, pretty for the guys here in the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League.
So we have one. Well, I don't know the first name, but a Dyke has lent his advice on how to pronounce that name. We were saying Dyche. It is Dyke. There for those couple of I'm going to assume brothers, maybe father son. We don't really know. But the Dyke clan has lent their opinion on our pronunciation of their name. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with some interviews from your top 3, or really anybody we can get, because it seems like there aren't too many in the league Discord. But we'll talk to anyone who we can. Meanwhile, again, we're going to cut to some commercial breaks. We'll be right back here on PitStop TV with coverage of the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League at Daytona, round 3 of 12. And welcome back to PitStop TV, here live to Twitch and YouTube tonight with coverage of the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League, round 3 of 12 at Daytona International Speedway. And guys, we had a heck of a show lined up for us. Going to quickly get right into some interviews. We don't have the top 2 available, but we do have next best. We have P3, your bottom side of the podium, your bronze medal, David Levine. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you. What's up, buddy?
Well, that was definitely a pretty interesting battle. You went from kind of just looking like you might have had a top 5 going, then you started to work your way up back past Langenberg. You got back to P4, and then eventually you got by the spinning number 7 for P3, and it certainly wasn't without a couple of close calls. Of course, getting by the spinning 7, there was a stop car out of the bus stop. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, first of all, I got to say big thanks to everybody at David Levine Racing and Motul HMS for all their support and everything that they've done so far. And obviously, first time with this league, it's been, with Lucky Dog, it was awesome. But yeah, like you said, a couple close calls here and there. Qualified pretty poorly, I think down in 17th, and got a good start. And then, was working with the teammate Tyler, and the 221 decided to have a brain fade and take him out, which kind of sucked. But yeah, like you said, the fun race, catching the, trying to run down the 7 and, avoiding some traffic, which, it was a blast.
It definitely looked it from up here. We were watching that battle up ahead, and eventually that number 24 car of Kem Aiken started to fall off. Did you think you had anything for him? Were you starting to kind of reel him in?
I honestly don't really think I had much for the front 2 unless they really started, beating on each other. I don't think I really got a handle on the car until maybe halfway through the race. And I mean, the only adjustment I made to the baseline setup was changing the brake bias and the fuel. So I still got a little bit of work to do on these cars, but yeah, I don't think there was really any catching those guys.
Yeah, definitely. By the end of things, especially with all that lap traffic, definitely got more and more fun to watch. Overall, do you think you have anything for these guys next week at Lime Rock?
We'll have to see. We'll have to get some testing scheduled to kind of get a better handle for me, at least with my driving style on the front end of this car, and just try to get it to work for me a little bit better. But we'll see. I feel like, with any endurance racing, whether it's, 30 minutes or 30 hours, the consistency and keeping it on the black stuff is the real key. So as long as we can do that, I think we might be pretty decent.
And that's definitely an experienced way to look at things. And actually, real quick, before we let you go, last thing, I promise. I try to do my best to plug David Levine Racing, but go ahead and give us your little spiel as team owner, what goes on there at David Levine Racing.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, here at DLR, we kind of do everything we can to help coach young drivers, up and coming talent, whether it be here on the iRacing Sim World or through real world driving. We have a Champ Car Spec 92 Miata that's available for Champ Car races and for coaching. But really, we're here at DLR. It's when I was coming up through racing, I had some great people, some great coaches around me, and I guess it's kind of my way to pay it forward is to give back to the young racing community. And if there's anybody that needs help, always give me a shout. As I'm willing to help, and that's really it. And again, can't thank everybody enough at Motul and at HMS Motorsport for everything that they've done to help get us here.
All right. Well, it was good talking to you, David. I'm sure we'll be talking to you more as we hopefully pick up full-time coverage of the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League. So pretty solid P3. Hopefully it translates into something next week at Lime Rock. Going to be pretty treacherous, though. And we'll be talking to you there, I'm sure.
Yeah, 10-4, buddy. Thanks for calling.
And so that was your P3 finisher of David Levine. We're going to look a little further down the running order here, as I believe Cole Freilich has Jason Miles alongside him. So we'll go ahead and get Jason Miles in here.
Oh, I'm in.
All right, Jason Miles, you got us?
I got you.
All right. Well, it was a hectic night for pretty much everybody there at the start, but describe how your night went.
Yeah, at the start it was kind of crazy. I think I qualified 16th or something. I got one clear lap, and then so I started mid-pack, I guess, mid-third, top third, I don't know. But I came into turn one and got hit on both sides, and then I tried to keep going, but I'd lost both my mirrors, and then went through turn three, heading towards the kink, and I think it was JD Van Kirk spun in front of me, and so I had more damage from that, and so I did, I think, 5 or 6 laps, and I just was down on aero, down on power, so I stopped and did the quick repair, and then went back out and battled back to, I think, 26 or something. So it was all right, but the start was definitely hectic, and I don't know. I'll have to watch it back. I heard it was kind of colorful, so yeah.
Well, as some people know and some people don't know, you kind of run the show around here. So tell the people how you can get involved in this league.
Yeah, so we started Lucky Dog Sim Racing about 1.5 years ago, and we used to be running like MX5 Global Cup cars. This season we upped it to the GT4 and the TCR cars, and it kind of gained a lot more people. And then on top of what's going on right now with our regular races, we actually haven't had to be canceled yet. Our next regular race on track is at the end of April, so we're still hopeful, but not sure. But if they want to join the sim portion of Lucky Dog, they can go to the Facebook page, Lucky Dog Sim Racing League. We're on Instagram as well, and yeah, we're the more the merrier. Well, I guess except for at the start. So, but yeah, we're looking to have a couple special events later this year as well. So that might be our first chance to do some team racing as well. So.
All right. Well, before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
I just want to thank Hawk Performance for stepping up. They're one of our sponsors in our regular league, and they stepped up to sponsor the first 2 races, or sorry, the second and third race of the year. And so shout out to those guys, and just all the racers, and thanks to you guys for coming on, and look forward to broadcasting every week. And I think it added another level of cool factor, I guess. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason.
Yeah. We'll talk to you next week.
And so that was Jason Miles, and he ends up coming home P26. So not the run he wanted, but certainly a lot of fun to talk to him. We're going to go ahead and turn it over to Victor Vallee, who, Victor, I believe you've got Kevin Ford.
Yes, sir, I do. I got Kevin Ford. Started 4th, finished, I do believe, P5 on the field here at the end of this thing. Actually, correction. Let me get that right. P8 for Kevin Ford. You got a copy?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right. You had a pretty eventful race. Had a good starting spot and got caught up in that first lap chaos like almost everybody else. And you were able to fight your way back through the field to finish in the top 10. Tell us about your night.
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good. I got a pretty good start, but I just went a little bit too wide coming out of, shoot, I don't even know what turn it is, the turn right after the the pit exit, and hopped over a little curb and spun. So then it was just like trying to play catch up, and I got punted from behind after that once too. But anyway, yeah, had a good race, caught up to 7th place, and then lost it in the bus stop. Just got super sideways on the last lap, and I think it was Christopher Beats.
Yeah, that's right.
Passed me, so anyway, that was a little bit of a bummer, but whatever. I mean, 8th out of 43 is not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of people had a little bit of trouble with brakes here, and a little bit of I was gonna say a lot of people got sideways. I was gonna say, could you tell us about how unstable the car was, or was it really stable for you?
You know, initially, for the first lap or so, these Porsche Cayman GT4s are a little bit loose. But once you get heat in the tires, they're pretty good. It started dropping off there after a little while. It understeers for the majority of the race. So you kind of gotta almost turn it with the brakes a little bit. But yeah, my tires just started dropping off towards the end.
Yeah, of course, gotta get that in there. Of course, these cars are in the Michelin Pilot Series, and they do use the Michelin rubber. At the end of this thing, of course, coming home P8. Who do you have to thank for this result?
Who do I have to thank? Maybe my wife for allowing me to buy this sim rig off of a friend. Yeah. So yeah, we spent $600 on the sim rig, and and it turns out it worked out really well because now I'm using it to work from home, and she's using the place that I was using before to work from home, the desk. So with this craziness going on outside of our front doors these days, but yeah, probably my wife Emily.
Yeah, definitely a crazy time, and we'll go ahead and let you go here, and I think we'll have one more interview coming up in just a moment here with Justin Parcher.
So we've talked to your P8 driver, we've talked to your P26 driver, we've talked to your P3 driver, now we've got Justin Parcher. So as we get Justin Parcher, there we go, up into the broadcast booth. Justin, how'd your race go?
Oh, it was an interesting one for sure. Bunch of racer excuses incoming, so sorry. Didn't get a real good flying lap in qualifying and ended up having to start 16th. The standing start races are always interesting. Inevitably, somebody doesn't go, and that was the guy right in front of me. So that stacked things up there a little bit at the start, and all completely on the fact that cold tires going into turn 2. I got the back end stepped out on me and piled it into somebody else that had already wrecked. So 16th to 38th, and then just kept my head down and clicked off as clean a laps as I could. Car was a couple seconds off pace from that initial damage, but was still able to start picking them off one by one as stuff happened. And one gent ran out of gas on the last lap, and it was looking like I was going to be there for 10th place. And going into one on the last lap, somebody just missed the braking point or something and absolutely dive bombed me like 30 miles an hour too fast into the corner. The three of us spun and then got going again, and ended up missing out on 10th place at the line by 6/1000ths of a second. So highs and lows the whole time.
And I'm actually going to go ahead and try and pull up that event here in the replay. But while I try and look for that, you mentioned that last lap, and I'm going to try and pull that up. From my end, the way I initially called it, I know you've been posting the links in the Discord of the broadcast. You're probably going to listen back and maybe not like the way I called that the first time. The way it looked initially was a bit more like you guys just maybe weren't aware of exactly how you guys were as far as bumpers lining up and had turned across. I'll go ahead and take a look. I'll be willing to take that statement back for the moment, but I do want to mention, you said you went all the way back to P38, came back through the field. That's pretty darn impressive. I ran a different race almost a week ago now, Wednesday night, personally as a driver, and I had about the same kind of race, and that is definitely pretty difficult to do. You came back up to P12. I only got to like 26th or so, so definitely kudos there. Real quickly, going ahead to Lime Rock, and I'm sure you raced the last 2 weeks here in this league. Obviously, we're brand new coming in for round 3 of 12. But going to the next 9 races, how does this set you up with this pretty big comeback run? It's still a decent points day, not quite what you want, obviously, but does it help you out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in far more of a points deficit than I'm used to being in this league. I'm usually sort of up there in the top 3 to 5, battling out. Get a lucky win every once in a while. And then one of our previous seasons was a mashup league, and I ended up winning that one. So it to be this far back in the points, I mean, I guess I haven't even looked yet after tonight, but definitely not a position I'm used to being in.
Well, fair enough, and I'm still trying to pull up that replay for you. Let's see, lap 17, I've got it. So we'll go ahead and, if you pull up, I know you've got links ready, so we'll go ahead and we'll watch this live even. The wonderful things we can do on the internet. That is, if I can get to it. Man, I'm trying to get ATVO to cooperate. So I'm going to try and pull up this incident. It was down in turn 1. Give us kind of your play-by-play if you can, as I still try and get this up for you. We almost had that. We're trying to get to it, but regardless, I guess the whole trial while building up to it and everything down into turn 1. How did you see the whole thing just step by step? I guess.
Well, to be completely honest, the driver of the black car in question, I hadn't even seen him in my mirrors coming onto the banking, so wasn't expecting that sort of a dive bomb regardless, and knew it was going to be close. I just didn't have the straight line speed with, I think, it was the sort of Gulf colored car. So I knew he'd made up a bunch of time on me and was looking to just hit my braking point, make the corner. I'd felt like I'd been better through the infield than the folks behind me, so I just wanted to be sure I could hit my marks and try to stay in front of them. So to be honest, it came as a complete shock. I had absolutely no idea that something like that was going to be coming.
And as we I think I've got it. I think I've tracked it down. So if you've got the link up on your end, or if you're still in the sim to watch this replay, I think I've finally got it.
Yeah, I do see it.
Yeah, so we're going to be coming up to turn 1 here is where it should happen. You see the
Yeah,
Gulf
this is the
machine
bus
up
stop,
ahead.
and I think this car runs wide here.
Yeah, so we've got
I get by him.
we're a little bit ahead on my end. So yeah, this whole thing
Okay.
happens up ahead. It's might have been the lap before. It's difficult to try and do this from ATVO. But we'll just watch through this whole onboard lap. Quickly, while we wait for that, though, who do you have to thank? I know everybody's been talking about how everybody had their family watching and everything. Who do you have that supports you on iRacing here?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to thank my girlfriend, Sandra. She puts up with of spending time on the sim and being away from spending time with her to do this silly pixel racing. Because we all know Roger Penske ain't calling. So shout out to all my friends and family that watch the streams that I put up, and anybody watching the stream tonight.
Well, if you're streaming, go ahead and plug your stream, because I'm gonna go ahead. I'm still trying to track this down because I'm just so interested now. Go ahead and plug your stream real quick.
Sure. It's just my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Justin Parcher.
Gotcha. So I finally found it, and we're gonna watch this back. I had to take a different approach to things. So you see our splash page for our Thursday races, but we'll go ahead and bring this up, get that out of the way, and we finally got this ready for everybody to watch. The whole build up to all of this, it's totally blown out of proportion here at this point, but it doesn't matter. So absolutely,
yeah, it'll probably be different than I remember it.
Absolutely, the first dive bomb there, and then it all kind of slows down, and the 18 definitely was further behind than I thought when we watched that live. So we'll watch it one more time. This is you entering the tri-oval, and obviously there's the delay, so we'll have to work with that. But you see the couple of cars behind you here. I know one of them is the 18 of Holland. The other one is the 17. I'm not sure of the name there, and absolutely, it almost looks like he took a swing at you. So I think that's a good thing we found this. Maybe for Justin, or sorry, gosh, I've already forgotten his name, Jason, I think, to look over. But that definitely, either he got loose, the 18, or he took a swipe at you, because you can see him here. He has control as he's making the move, and then back right, rather. So fair enough. You were right. You totally got dive bombed. But
yeah, I mean, in my mind, the 17 was never going to make that corner.
No.
And I got on the voice chat pretty angry about that. You know, I'll own that. In the moment, a little bit of red mist. To be going 30 miles an hour faster than you need to be into turn 1, and sort of cuts across my nose, and I probably checked up. I mean, I could go back and watch exactly, what I did with the wheel and the pedals to determine that for sure. And then, yeah, getting tagged in the rear corner by the 18 didn't help. And ultimately, that's what the real incident was there.
Yeah, so watching it back one more time, it may have been that Holland got in there and just kind of turned in a little bit early and kind of swung back right. I think he might have been looking at it like he was going to hit the tire barrier there at the end of the pit wall. Not sure, but either way, I don't want to assume that he did anything malicious because you guys had a pretty good race going. We were watching that battle start to form as you caught Holland and the 27, I forget his last name, but as you caught a few of those cars, that was a pretty cool battle to watch. So don't want to assume anything malicious. It was definitely a good battle. And we'll let you finally get out of here. We kept you captive there for a few minutes. I apologize for that, but it was good talking to you, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you more throughout the season.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
So that's Justin Parcher, Cole, and as we had a whole lot of buildup for me to just apologize to a guy for calling it the wrong way at first, that was certainly a good race to watch.
Yeah, it was a fun race, and by the way, Jason talked there. I think we may be getting picked up for more races this season, which will definitely be fun between me, you, and Victor. Catch us Thursday night, though. We're going to be commentating the SRCA Pro F2000 series. That's a tongue twister still, even though we're halfway into that. We're going to be at the Daytona Road Course, so we're going to be right back here. It's going to be on the 2007 version, so it's going to be a very bumpy version of this racetrack. So it should be a fun one for us to be up in the booth for.
Yeah, we're going to tear up all the pavement here that was put down in 2012, 2013 or so. Well, no, it would have been early. It would have been 2011 because then they patched it in 2012. That's right. But we're going to tear up all that brand new pavement that you see, and we're going to slap down the old pavement. And it's going to get real bumpy. It's going to get real narrow in a lot of spots, especially the road course. That'll be fun to watch, though, as the Pro Mazdas tackle a narrow, bumpy Daytona. So, yeah, that'll be fun. Then we have Lime Rock coming up for this Lucky Dog Sim Racing League next week. So in a week's time, come back and we'll be live with that again. Following that will be the SRCA IndyCar World Series going to Indianapolis. So, that's definitely a pretty good week shaping up. We're hoping to add some shows, so we'll go ahead and we'll do our own little plug here. Contact us if you want to have us come cover. I doubt that we're going to have as many of these stutters because I'm going to work on that actually right now once we shut down shop here, because some of those stutters with a higher car count definitely probably made it a little bit hard to watch, but I appreciate anyone who watched through it. I know we have a lot of families of the new guys in this race that watched, so I got to thank all of you guys. Cole, I got to thank you. Victor had to run. I thank Victor Valee for sitting through that with us, and it was definitely a lot of fun. Want to quickly go over the unofficial full results, though. We've got Richard Basford taking home the checkered flag. Then it was Kem Aiken, David A. Levine, Andre Millette, Dylan Yeager, John Montgomery Jr. That's P6. Then it's Christopher Beats in the 22. Then Kevin Ford. We talked to him. He finished P8. Michael Della Sala falls back a couple of spots, but makes a comeback up to P9. And Kevin San Diego, that 17 that came flying into turn 1. Again, I don't think that was an intentional, but man, he certainly made an entrance there to the infield there. Kevin San Diego finishes 10th tonight, Cole. And man, from there we've got a whole other kind of group of cars.
Yeah, finishing in 11th, we have Chris Lounsbury, Justin Parcher. We talked to him earlier. We held him captive up here in the booth. He finished 12th. James Wallach, he finishes 13th. Enrique De Sequeira, I believe that's how you pronounce it, 14th. Justin Holland finished 15th. Tyler Langenberg, one of our partner at Team Unreal's cars, he finished the night in 16th. John Toothaker finishes 17th. J.D. Vankirk finishes 18th. David Clow 19th. And Andy Rolston finishes at your top 20.
And in P21, it's going to be Raphael Raphael comes home P21. Raphael H, we'll say that. Ian Anderson, 23rd overall, but is going to be 22nd in the Porsche class, as it looks like that's where we're going to get our first Audi. We'll come back to the Audi division in a moment, though. So P23 overall is Ian Anderson. Then Brandon Dyke, as we've been corrected there. Then it's going to be Brian Ansel, Jason Miles, Aaron Sloman, not quite the name you want to have going race car racing, but Damian Doneski, Sam Sailors, Dan Garber, Jay Bricky, it looks like, will round out your top 30 overall. or at least in the Porsche division. Then you've got Len White, Joseph Pennell, Michael Omelko. Michael Melvin falls all the way back to P37, 36th it looks like in class there for the 36 machine. No, it's going to be 30, gotta take 34th. My bad. 4 laps down there from Michael Melvin. Then it's the other Dyke, Scott Dyke. They're in P38 overall. Eric Hutchinson, Nicholas Murray, J.D. Snyder, Christopher Barton, Peter Holm, and I believe we have one more page. No, that's actually your whole Porsche field. So go ahead and run us through the Audis there, Cole.
I know we had Kerry Mitchell. I don't have the results pulled up for me, so you'll have to do that. But I know Kerry Mitchell did finish the race in first, and then I completely forgot who the other two.
So it would be Kerry Mitchell, yes, winning the Audi class, and then actually Russ Sherman comes out on top of that battle with Leonardo Alexandre. So that battle wraps itself up. I think there was a gap of about 37 seconds when it was all told between those two. But still, it was pretty cool to check in on that battle and see those Audis battling at that perfect time when we flip to them. But that's going to do it. Again, want to thank everybody for tuning in. I know we had a lot of families of a lot of the drivers, a lot of the new drivers. And if you are a new driver, especially with a team out there, let us know what team you have so we're not just talking about our own. Want to definitely reference the team you've got, especially if you've got something going on social media. Want to shout you guys out. And again, you can come advertise with us if you're a small business, if you're a big business, doesn't matter. We'll advertise you to the best of our ability. That's a perfect lead-in, actually, to David Levine Racing. We talked to him. We talked to David Levine himself, rather, about David Levine Racing and that operation there, the Champ Car Endurance Series coming up the rest of this year, hopefully when we get back to real racing. We've also got Whiplash Media supporting us. Whiplash Media, our new parent company. Again, iRacing assets, sim racing assets in general, check us out over at Whiplash Media, and especially Hawk Performance, who is, again, donating a set of brake pads to your overall champion here in the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League. So keep an eye out on that as the points battle shapes up over the course of the next 9 weeks. We go to Lime Rock next week, though. Definitely make sure to tune in. This has been Andrew Cardinale, Cole Freilich, and Victor Vallee. Again, excuse me, man. I had to get a drink of water. Sorry. It's been Andrew Cardinale again with Cole Freilich, Victor Vallee. Everything just totally came crashing down on me there, Cole. But it's been fun. As always, we'll be back in 2 nights. It's technically now Wednesday if you're on the West, even the Midwest. Or sorry, the East, even the Midwest. There we go. Ah, boy. This is what it does to you. 1 o'clock in the morning, these guys have us up. But no, it's been fun. Got to thank Jason for bringing us in for Lucky Dog Sim Racing. It's been a lot of fun. And again, Lime Rock next week. This Thursday, though, make sure to tune in. Cole, I know you mentioned it. The SRCA Pro Mazda Series goes to the Daytona Road Course, the 2007 iteration, though. And that'll certainly be interesting. But that'll wrap it up for us. We will bid you adieu with the brand new K&N damage model you get to see on your screen here in just a moment. It's been fun. This has been PitStop TV, and we'll see you Thursday for the SRCA Pro of 2000 series.
We got big time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage. like your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane, press and hold your reset button, and we'll come and get you.